Welcome to Conscious Gatherers. My name is Beverly Thompson, and I'm here with A.J. Royce.
Hello.
Hello. All right. Here we go. Another exciting evening, and today's date is March the 7th, 2023, and this is our episode 89. So, all right. Boy, where do we start? just a few things to go through. But first, we're going to bring up what the heck is going on. I could use a different word too. There's, I've been hearing a lot of people talking about pains in their head, and which I'm going to let you talk a little bit more about that issue because you've had it. But many people are also having slight headaches, or they're feeling pains in different parts of their bodies, and there's reasons for all of this. And so I think as those of you listening that you know that the energies have been ramped up, so to speak, on Earth, and that the frequency of the Earth is changing, and we're going to share a little more information on that tonight. Tonight here, so whenever you're listening, so probably most in the daytime, but anyway, we'll keep on going. All right, he's talking about headaches, so we already started there. I've noticed that I have just a slight pressure, and it could be allergies too, because I do have those. But I think it's more than that. And I was with a group of people a week ago, and quite a few people were saying the same thing.
Yeah, when you have things like it feels like an ice pick stabbing into your head, and then it's gone shortly thereafter. It's a little bit different from allergies.
And that one is, I don't have the ice pick effect. So it doesn't sound like it'd be very pleasant. But I know you, Royce, have gone through that and still are. And then I've heard of others, even that's one small child who's just turned 3 is having that issue. And I think her daddy's having that issue. And he said the same words, that feels like an ice pick going into my brain. But it's very short-lived.
Yeah.
So if you are suffering with that, I use the word suffering because it doesn't sound like it would feel very good. But that could be the energies and what to do with that, when that hits you. I'm not sure what you do, but I'm just saying relax.
Yeah, relax and try your best to concentrate on raising your vibration. A lot of people say, well, how in the world do you do that? Well, simply by the sense of will. We do have a sense of will. But, just like everything else, it has to be exercised and made use of.
It's interesting you use the sense of will because that is, that's where we're at.
That's right.
We're creators, and we're becoming conscious creators. And it's to use that will in a most positive sense.
Yeah, what is that? There is a prayer. It was written a long time ago, and it refers to the little wills of men. Do you remember that? I can't remember what the name of the prayer is, but the thing that we're heading toward is to not have little wills anymore, but to raise that up so that we can make use of it to its highest good.
Because that's who we are, and it's time to realize that. And in fact, I was at a funeral recently, and actually it was a rabbi, and she said she said something to the effect that we're less than divine. And I'm sitting there watching, and in my head I'm saying, no, we're not. Absolutely not. And I'm not trying to pick on any one religion at all. I mean, it's to realize the divineness that each one of us is.
Yeah.
And, your sense of will. And we have that sense. And how do you change the world?
Yeah, well, we've just been lazy, and we got used to being lazy and not taking responsibility for ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
making use of the gifts that are inherent within us, built into us, came here with it, but we forgot how to use it. So this is a get over it time. Start making use of it.
We have become compliant.
Yeah.
And
controlled.
And controlled. And yeah, exactly. And so that is, we're seeing that play out in this world. And some people will remain compliant. And some of us are saying, hell no. And I'm one of those. And now that's not hurting another fellow man, but I'm not going to follow your dictates if I don't feel it's for my highest good.
Yeah.
So I think we all have a right to stand up for our own sovereignty and use that will that is built within us. All right.
You looked at me like you're waiting for an amen or something.
Amen. There you go. Well, you can say that. All right. But, a lot of stories I'm hearing from people that are going through all kinds of physical happenings within their body. And some of them are awakening to their sense or their connection to, say, a star system or a starship.
Mm-hmm.
That has come up, and I think that's very interesting. And it's I call it an activation, or to start realizing that you have that connection. And so some of you listening may understand this. Other ones, if that hasn't happened to you, it may not, but it may. And you just allow that information to come through. So if you know to be at one place versus another, there's a reason for it. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean a ship or anything like that, but some of them will have more communication with some of their, what we call our brothers and sisters of the stars, and that will start coming out because of the star seeds that are here on this earth, and that's all of us.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, one thing that happened with me 2 days ago, so it was March the 5th, and I'm sitting in my chair and actually watching TV, which I don't watch very often, but I turned on a show because I thought, okay, I'm just going to veg out. And so I did. And then all of a sudden I started feeling my energy in me. I mean, it was like, it's not anxiety, but it was like an excitement. And I could feel almost, but I felt it in my arms, which when I feel energies, it's usually not in my arms. It might be in my whole body, including my arms, but not just in my arms. And that day was in my arms, and or evening. And I thought, what the heck's going on here? And it's almost like an internal shaking. And so I actually put my hands up and looked at them in my arms, and I thought, am I shaking visibly? And I was not, but that's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. So I just allowed myself to relax and let that, go through into my body. But I did ask about it. Mm-hmm. So I wrote that night, and I was going to share that with you. And here, just a moment here. Here's what I was given. More movement in your realm of earth. This day will be one to remember. The timing is impeccable in that this is a moment of the churning. And, the word churning is interesting.
Yeah, so we were talking about that. And what I was picturing in my mind was, there's some slang terms that we use to describe situations. And it's like if you have a big old pot of poo that designates, things going on around you, it's much worse to be around if you stir it up. So that's what I was envisioning, was that big old pot of poo being stirred up, so it smelled even worse. So, but sometimes things have to be bubbled up to the surface before we are aware of them, before it hits us in the face, so to speak, so that we acknowledge that it is there and we need to do something about it.
So talk about the sense of will.
Yeah.
So there you go. So, we're seeing that happen in this world. And it's like, what? There's a lot of what's going on. And, of course, the whole January 6th, the information's coming out on that because of what we've been told. And then all of a sudden we're starting to see videos, and then that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And so that's just one example. And it's like, dang, and I know you've gotten the message, we've been lied to. And it's like, man, those lies are being exposed everywhere.
Yeah, planet full of lies.
Yeah.
But they're being exposed so we can do something about it.
So it's like, yes. And so the churning is going on.
Time to turn around.
All right, I'm going to go on to some of the information that I received.
Okay.
All right. Talking about the moment of the churning. It is a mass consciousness shift. A big reason for being at this time is coming into more focus. Talking about people that are connected to a star system or a starship, whatever it may be, or whatever it is, doesn't matter. All right? Because each of us are here for a reason, and you're all part of it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. This is interesting, what I got. It says, what is right is wrong, and what is wrong is right. And I'm getting this, I'm thinking, okay. Then they said, therefore, what is right? Nothing and everything. Contemplate that one. You perceive what you believe, yet you believe in what you are perceiving. Your perceptions are about to take a huge leap. This indeed is the shift of the ages. Chronologically, that is. So, yeah. Any comments on that before I go on?
No, it's just an exciting time to be here.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really is. Even though she's talking about what was being churned, and when we talked about it earlier, she didn't exactly use those words. It's like, oh, God. But that definitely tells you what that churning and all the crap's coming to the surface.
Yeah.
So, all right. As I always ask questions. Always ask questions, because this came to me today, in that he who questions cannot be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you what, people are starting to ask a lot of questions right now, because what they're seeing, what they've been told, is not what's been going on. So question everything. All right, let me go on. I had asked, are we now entering into a whole new timeline? We discussed this, I believe, in our last podcast. Talked about emerging timelines. Mm-hmm. The answer I got, yes, yet it is different. And I was seeing like emerging timelines shooting out through like a wormhole. I don't know how else to say it, but it was kind of an odd vision. And I had asked, is this a merger of two universes? And the answer I got, universes, not in the sense of physicality. And I thought, okay. And so I was guided to pick up one of my books, and I looked over at my books that are on my shelf, and I thought, okay, it's in book 2. And I just literally opened the book.
Mm-hmm. You trusted it.
I did. Mm-hmm. Trusted it. So I'll share with you the page I turned to. It's in my book 2, Mystery of the Universes, and the writing of what I'm going to read from is called "The Turn of the Century into Biorhythms of Possibilities." So, all right. The earth is changing into this being that shall accommodate your desired changes. It is only done in love, for love of itself. Her light shall manifest through her skin. She is shaking and the land masses are moving. This is not to alarm humanity, but know that your wishes and dreams of a grand new world is upon you. Okay, excuse me. Start living in harmony within your own matrix, and you shall see this world change in the blink of an eye, the eye of creation. You have that power, and now is the time for you to use that awesome power. Sense of will.
Yep.
Know in the deepest part of your being that you are here at this auspicious time to be the movers and the shakers and the lovers. The earth's skin is changing along with your very own bodily DNA. It is through the matrical connections that this is done. I asked about the word matrical, and what I was told is what is being referred here as matrical is the divine lineage that each of you are linked to. So, and I looked it up in a dictionary too, and it's an adjective meaning of or relating to a matrix. So, yeah, something to think about. See the light of the world come forth in your visions. Together, you are making it happen. That's all of us. We salute you in all of your endeavors. We are here to assist. We are your brothers and sisters, the stars within the larger matrix of all that is. Your thoughts merge with this matrix as it radiates. Excuse me. Pardon me. I'll start over in that sentence. Your thoughts merge with this matrix as it radiates out through the holy heart of Creator, also known as the Great Central Sun. Your thoughts, your thoughts are your prayers. Remember that. Your thoughts are your prayers. Let them be aligned with the divineness that you are. And the beings that was communicating this writing to me, they called themselves the Grand Marchers who have come forth to share with me. And according to one of my other writings, the Grand Marchers are also known as the Galatians from Andromeda. So that's the word I got, Galatians or Andromedans, and of course Andromedans is quite a large star system, right?
Andromeda is a galaxy.
Galaxy, okay, there you go. I mean, so it's huge. So, but this evidently, some of the beings that call themselves Galatians. At least that's how I heard it.
That's interesting because there's one of the chapters in a book in the Bible that's called Galatians.
There is, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Letters to the Galatians.
Huh. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I spelled it the same way, but I guess it doesn't matter. All right. Okay, and then just a couple more things that I want to share is, just a few things that came through today. Okay, I got the 3 P's. So I thought, okay, what are they? And the 3 P's are patience, perseverance, and then it kind of stopped. I thought, well, what's the third one? And I got the word precaution. I thought, oh.
Wasn't what you expected.
No. So, but it's like, okay. And it's in other words, you make sure you know what you're doing here. I was told first a downturn, then an upturn. The ugliness will move out of the way to make room for the ecstasy to begin. I thought, wow, ecstasy. Behold a new day. See the fingerlings move about. Abundance shall befall you. And abundance can mean many things.
Yeah.
It's ours, whatever we want to create. It's us. We're doing it. We have that power. Use that sense of will.
Yes.
So we also looked up the word fingerlings because we're thinking potatoes. That makes much sense. I know. Real deep here. But they are small young fish. And so it's, all the young ones that's moving about and in this new day. And we can call ourselves all young ones, even though, because I can say we're new in the sense of knowing who we are.
Yes, I like that.
Yeah. All right. All right. Royce, I would love for you to share.
Okay. When we focused in today, this is what I got. Listen. Listen. Do you hear? Your brothers and sisters of old are joyously celebrating an opening in the earth's matrix of wonders. And oh, what a wonderful opening it is. The plan is coming together. The plan for the unification of us all. The walls are crumbling, for they are built upon sand, and they were destined to fail from the beginning. The distance between us can no longer be sustained, for we are each other's reflections. The persecutions are soon to disappear, because the air simply will not take part in the transference of such energies. It is the fabric of all space and time that yearns to renew itself as a rose sends out new shoots and flowers once again, proclaiming the perfection of its beauty. So let us all take notice of the perfection of the rose. Its beauty is most appreciated after its withered blossoms have been trimmed away. It is only then that a renewal of its internal beauty is fully realized. Let us trim away the withered past, and let us celebrate the new growth with joy in our hearts as well. It is new and it is growth, and its beauty is the inspiration for ages to come. So I thought it was funny that, well, not funny because we do this so often, what we get when we're in meditation is so linked together. It's literally saying the same thing, but from, different filters, different perspectives.
Yeah, I told her that. I told Royce that hers is much more flowery. Talking about the rose,
Yeah.
And you said trim away the withered past. And another thing that we were discussing today, and I remember other people talking about this years ago, well, not years ago, maybe a year or so ago, but many people feel like they're going through the death process.
Yes.
And it's in that process is all the control mechanisms, all the things that we have bought into need to be thrown out of ourselves.
Yes.
It's that withered past. It's like, some of it was beautiful, but some of it was not. And it's like, let go of it.
Yes, and it's even the beautiful parts. You have to release it because it's time to step forward and make use of that understanding that you got from that beauty before. Take that understanding with you, yes.
Into something new.
Yes, create something new with it.
And so it's letting that old part of you, going into the old programs is the way I see it.
Yeah.
And we all have done it, still doing it, until we realize, oh, wait a minute. Is that really what I want to do? Is that what's best for me? Is that what's best for humanity? So what's best for you that becomes best for another in most circumstances. Because that energy that comes out of you goes to the next, to the next, to the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes out.
And that dying process you're talking about, I've experienced that twice. And the first one, I believe, was for me to have an understanding of what other people are going through. But the last one was for me to understand and release stuff of my own. So I tell you what, when you can feel what other people are going through, when we have a tendency, I think, sometimes to keep ourselves distanced from pain and suffering, and no matter what caused it, because it's uncomfortable. We don't like that, But when you feel it yourself, it's a whole different story. It's like, oh, that's where the compassion comes from. And so now I have compassion for other people, and I have compassion for myself too, because, experiencing it from both sides.
Mm-hmm. So. I think it would be very tough to feel so connected at one point, and all of a sudden you lose it.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the heck? And it would be very lonely. I would have to say it's scary.
Yeah. In my one of my books, When the Night Comes Creeping, I wrote about that in a chapter called Like Living Death, and that's what it felt like. When it felt like my spiritual self was just in like you say, in the blink of an eye, was gone. It was horrendous, truly horrendous. It felt like dying for a whole week. It was very uncomfortable. But when it was restored.
Okay, could you go into a little bit more of that to help those that may be going through something like this? Because that living the death process, when you're not really dying, but it's a part of you that needs to die out, so that that new you, whatever the words to use, comes and fulfills you even more so.
Yeah. Well, that first time when I feel like I was experiencing it so I could have compassion for others, Yeshua was standing right beside my bed, and he just said something very brief. He said, "I can't be with you now." And then he disappeared. And I was like, what was that all about? Where are you going? And then I felt a change in the energy, chest and head. I can't remember exactly what that was, but I remember what it felt like afterward. That I felt like my entire spirit had been ripped out of me. It was horrible. I felt like I was writhing in spiritual pain because I couldn't feel anything. All sense of emotional connections to family, to friends, to the earth, to the beauty, it was all non-existent, and I was just pleading for it to come back. And I remember at one time having the realization of having an understanding of why people act out and even commit murder. It's not like trying to inflict pain, but it's trying to feel something. I understood that, and I never thought that I would have a compassionate feeling toward somebody who would commit murder or do these horrendous acts. But it's because they have no sense of anything. It's gone. It's missing. Like a shell walking around, empty shell. But then I was the last day of it. I pleaded for it to come back. Please help me. And I saw this little ball of light drift down through the yard, and it just drifted up to me and into my chest, and the light returned. I could feel beauty and gratitude and all those things that I had felt before that I missed so badly.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just overjoyed, and overwhelmed with a sense of compassion. And then this last time when it happened, it was an ongoing thing. It lasted for a couple of months, actually, and it was like I was so unhappy. I couldn't make myself happy about anything. You know, if I was in somebody else's presence, I could fake it, but on the inside, I was just like, I'm so unhappy. I just feel dead. And I even expressed to Bev that I'm dying. You know, I feel like I'm dying, but my physical body was fine. But it was for me it was a part of what it felt like to be releasing the old stuff that didn't fit anymore, because I was beginning to take responsibility for a lot of different things in my life. And so the release of that, you can call it victimhood, you can call it being controlled, and all these other things, falling for bogus things or whatever. All of that was just being like put into a neat little bag so I could throw it away.
There you go. Well, it's thank you for sharing that, because you know, I know it's a tough thing to go through. Yet, you know, you're one who understands all of that. Yet you still go through it, and it's that releasing, that deep releasing. And if you find yourself in this situation, if you can remember still to let go of, and you can ask, and release everything that no longer serves me. But you gotta prepare yourself for that too, because you know what, it's gonna serve you in the new now.
Yeah.
You know, is different than the old now, so to speak.
Yeah, and I was asking for all of that, you know, and pleading for help once again. But the thing of it was a process that I had to go through. And you know, it's like you you don't know what another man's going through until you walk a mile in his booties, you know. And so this was my show, my booties. And so I had to experience the releasing of all of that gobbledygook that no longer served me, because I've got some neat things to do.
Yeah.
And it needs the freedom of all of the gobbledygook to be able to do it.
Like thinking about churning of the pot.
Yeah.
And if you feel yourself going through this right now, because I got a feeling, you know, we're not the only ones, you know, walking in nature, you know, and you want to take off your shoes and feel into Mother Earth, because I did see Lady Gaia, where she too has other aspects of herself, and sometimes she's not fully in this earth. I don't know if other people are going to agree with that, but I've seen it. And first time I saw it, I thought, what the heck? And and then the other day I saw her just move in fully into this earth. So it was really neat to see that. Okay, where was I going with that whole thing? Oh, going out in nature. Because there is energy in all the plants, there's energies in the trees. So if you feel this depletion of energies, you know, talk about tree huggers, hug a tree, or at least touch it, you know.
Yeah, my neighbors, I think they wonder about me sometimes, because I'll be taking my walk and all of a sudden I'll have to turn around and go back to a tree in my yard and walk up to it and hug it. And I do it because it's like, hey, please, you know, I can feel it. It needs that connection.
It needs that, and you need it. It knows you need it.
Yes,
so
actually, it goes both ways.
Yeah, pay attention. Pay attention. So, and, you know, or if it's a rock on the ground, whatever it may be. I always ask permission if I'm going to take a rock with me. And sometimes I'll get no, needs to stay. I get that actually no more than I get yes. But anyway, you can hold it and appreciate it for what it is. But the energy is always there, and that can help replenish the energy that's within you to help get you through this.
And sometimes you just need a little bit of grounding, because, you know, when you're working with things of a spiritual nature, a lot of times we get a bit ungrounded, and it's hard to get things accomplished here when your feet are not on the ground. So hugging a tree or holding a rock or whatever like that, putting your hand in a stream, it helps a lot.
Yeah. And if you know anybody else that's going through this, you know, you can give them a hug. But remember to hold your energy and to share it, but not deplete you.
Yes, that's something I've learned.
Yeah,
a great deal of.
So pull that energy, or just make sure your energy is strong, and you have that sense of will to make your energy that much stronger. We all have it within us. So if another one feels a little depleted, you know, it's fine to share it, and they will feel better. Even a smile helps.
Yes.
Or appreciate, and telling the other person how much you appreciate them. I mean, there's all these things that we can do, because, you know, we're going through this, and as you said, this is really not for. I was going to say not for wimps, but
yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Not for wimps.
Yeah. So this, you know, we are the courageous ones, and I keep getting that word, and to recognize that.
Yeah, it takes guts to be here right now.
Mm-hmm. And to pay attention to your gut.
Yeah.
The gut feel.
That's so true.
Yeah. All right. Well, we did cover a lot because of what's happening. Excuse me. It's a little dry weather, and it's really getting my throat right now. So, all right. Keep that in mind. You know, I'm drinking some tea with lemon in it. And so if you do feel you need to replenish yourself, and with a little bit of tea or some fruit or lemon, which is the cleansing, do so. You know, you may think it's silly to eat a lemon rind, but
oh, I love it.
Yeah, I did that earlier today, so it's something I don't do very often, but it's pretty good. So just some of these things that will come to you, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Do we have information of? I think people can go to the YouTube website and to get the information of how to contact us.
Yes.
And if you need to ask a question or make a comment, there's a place where the YouTube podcasts are listed, where you can leave a comment on each one of them if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be happy to hear from any of you.
Right. We get some feedback, but it's usually not through comments. But if you want to, there's that, and if you want to talk to either of us and Terry, who was in our earlier podcast, and help put this, whole thing together, and that number will show up. We have a nice gentleman, Eric. So, but
yeah,
no.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric, for doing this, because he helps put these online for us. So he's that high tech. I call him a high tech person. So, but anyway, he will put on there our contact number if you want to contact any of us, and that will flash on the screen. Excuse me. Okay, it's the number is 864-999-3008. Also, you notice that Royce has her 2 books that show up now on our podcast page. And you want to say anything about your 2 books?
Well, the first one, the one that's on the left, that's When the Night Comes Creeping. It's actually a smaller book, like a pocket book. smaller than the other one, but it's about my own experience with spiritual awakening and things that I learned, things that I was confronted with, including extraterrestrials and learning from them, and as well as other beings too, and just a life-changing experience with almost exiting the earth plane. And I learned an immense amount of information from that, and understanding about what it means to be here in the first place. And the other book, Walking into the Eye of God, is it's a study on sacred geometry. So I began with a dot and ended up somewhere in the Great Pyramid. So it was, I was actually writing when the night comes creeping, and all of a sudden this other book is, no, I got to come out first. I got to come out first. So I did it, and it came out first, and the other one followed a few months later. Well, actually the next month. So there they are.
All right. Well, I think you're going to learn a lot from both of her books. Yeah, the geometry book is like, okay. So I said, I really need you to stand in front of me, with a whiteboard to explain this. But there's a lot in there.
It goes deep fast.
It goes deep fast, and there's some people that can get it right away. So it's really pretty cool.
Yeah, I am working on another one of sacred geometry, and it will be more of from the grassroots up. I think it will be more understandable to the average person who may not necessarily be into sacred geometry.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting because it's still coming to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my 3 books, of course, on the mystery of the universes. The first one, the subtitles of Prophecy Fulfilled, because words I received before I wrote the book. And the second book is book 2. Mystery of the Universe is book 2, and Mystery of the Universe is book 3. And as like today, I shared some of book 2 with you, and just seeing how relevant the books are today, even though I wrote them a few years back. So challenge material, lots of questions, and still more questions and more putting together because there's so much in them. That is like, oh wow, do I even remember writing that?
I know what you mean.
A few sentences here and there, but it's like, ooh. Yeah, there's just a lot of information. So anyway, some of you I know do have my books, and they're out there, and they can be purchased through Amazon or other online bookstores. And yours the same way.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, thank you for joining us, and we appreciate your listening. And our next episode is scheduled for March 21st, 2 weeks from tonight. And so let us hear from you if you have any comments, any questions, whatever it may be. So we've been just personally, I've been getting lots of really nice compliments on our podcast, and it's really heartwarming to know that, because we do take this very seriously, and we know we are to do this. So, and you're welcome to share those podcasts too, and there's a share button there for you to use. All right. Well, thank you very much. We love you all.
Yes, and I know that before our next podcast, St. Patrick's Day will have taken place. And I just wanted to mention quickly that my Aunt Grace loved St. Patty's Day more than anything else, and she would even dye her hair green.
Okay.
She went all out with it, and she was quite a character. Everybody loved her. She was a wonderful cook and made everybody laugh. She was a cut up, so it was very interesting that she chose St. Patty's Day to exit.
Oh, did she really?
Yes, she did.
She have green hair? All right. Well, enjoy this rest of the next couple of weeks, and more exciting times that we're seeing what we call the outside world, but it's our inside world is what's changing the outside world.
Yeah.
Because it all happens within. and contemplate what we both channeled, our insights today. So again, those are our opinions that we put out, and we listen intently. We always ask for whatever's for the highest good of ourselves, as well as all those that are listening, all of humanity and beyond. So we do go through all of that to make sure that, we only work with sentient people or sentient beings, our higher self. But it's interesting, how we match up, and we're sitting in the same room, but we have no idea what the other person is receiving.
Yeah.
And I call them insights because it is us.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, thank you very much, and enjoy your time here, because it's certainly getting very exciting. And the word I keep getting is grandness. And I realized that was in a writing that from my second book, and I think it dates back to 2009. So here we are, the grandness of being, because we are it.
Yes, and I want to let you all know how much I love you, and I appreciate you being here, because your presence here right now does make a difference. So hold your head up and know that
you are loved. Yes. All right, I knew it was going to come out of your mouth.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.